I've been an auditor for 20 years. I've been called every name in the book, but I prefer Scott. So we'll start with that. When wages are uncashed, the employer is the holder. The employee is the owner. As a holder, you have 1 year to get the employee to cash that check. At 1 year, you have to surrender that check to us. And then we have to go find them. You're asking how and why this happens? Well, people get married. They change their names. They get divorced. They change their names again. Your addresses change. Sometimes they change their jobs. They move out of state. Sometimes they move back in the state. They're moving all around. With companies, they merge. Their records get lost. Or, as an auditor, I find out most of the time that records are just very poorly kept. There are two main places that we look at: the banking area and business. In the banking, there's checking and savings that we look at, and CDs. We are finding that there are lots of students that come in here to go to school. They set up an account, a checking account. They go to school, then they get a job out of state, and then they leave it here because they're so happy to get out of here, to go find a job, to move on. They just leave it here. At that point in time, the bank has 3 years to track them down, to give them their money or surrender it to us. Businesses, there's uncashed checks. There's gift cards for other states. With Utah, we do not track gift cards. There's stocks and bonds. Uncashed checks are the main thing that we're looking for. In the government, there's uncashed checks and there's bonds. The government has 1 year to surrender this to us with when they cannot track them down. Insurance has 3 years. With what we are finding there is that a lot of people change, from, I don't know, like from State Farm to Allstate and stuff like that. And they cannot track them down because they are moving. So after 3 years, they turn it over to us. As an auditor, I'd like you to discontinue the write-offs. I would like you to put it in a separate account, a liability account, so you can track it. What you're finding is that people are writing it off as to other revenue. Now, I came from public accounting, and as an auditor, not good, but I wrote them off. The partners did not catch it. It was a small amount of money under our limit of like $50,000. So as an audit, it cleared, but we were not following state law. So what I'd like you guys to do is to put it in a separate account. And then when the time comes, you guys, please, if you would surrender it to us, would appreciate it. An example here on payroll checks. We have it here for February 10th of this year. Let's say a check was given back to you. You have 1 year to find that person to make sure that they cashed their check. At 1 year, it becomes abandoned. Now, on payroll, it's 1 year. On all other stuff, it's 3 years. So on November 1st is when you would have to surrender it to us. At this point, I'll give the time back to Audra.
So in continuing with the process, we wanted to talk about due diligence. Before reporting property to the state, holders are required to perform what's known as due diligence. This is where a holder must try to find the owner not more than 120 days before filing their report and turning the property over to the state. If you know that you have a bad address for the owner, such as return mail from the post office, you do not need to send them written notice. You simply need to maintain that bad address information in your records. If you have an address that, to the best of your knowledge, is correct, you must contact the owner with written notice. This may even be a form letter. Again, the notice should not be sent more than 120 days before filing the report. Idaho has a sample due diligence letter within our holder packet, which can be found on our website. Some businesses have an ongoing due diligence process as a matter of procedure when they reconcile their bank accounts at the end of each month. This is a great customer service tool, and it also keeps their unclaimed property liability to a minimum. Holder reports are due November 1st of each year, and this is for the previous period beginning July 1st and ending June 30th. Idaho and Utah actually both mail out postcards at the beginning of July directing holders to visit our website so that they can find more reporting instructions. For Utah, the Unclaimed Property Administrator may grant an extension of time to file. However, this request must be in writing and received in their office by October 1st. Extensions are not allowed on an ongoing basis, and the administrator will not accept a form letter type request. Extensions are only granted on a case-by-case basis. For Idaho, the process is similar in that the Unclaimed Property Administrator may also grant an extension of time to file. You must make a request for extension, Form UP7, which is also found in our holder reporting packet on our website. We receive unclaimed property reports electronically as long as they're filed using the proper NAPA format. Additionally, free software is accessible via our website or available at wagers.net. It's free, it's easy, and we encourage holders to file electronically. Idaho and Utah require any holders that are reporting more than 9 properties to actually file online. You may also access our websites to obtain reporting forms or contact us, send us an email. You can also search for your name or your customers' names on our unclaimed property list on our website. Utah's website address is www.mine.utah.gov/report.asp, and Idaho's is www.sto.idaho.gov/unclaimed-property. So we just wanted to take this time to pause and see if there were any questions thus far.
So if we send out a check to someone and it comes back, say undeliverable, bad address, that is all we need, and we don't need to send out a form letter?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
You just need to maintain that in your records, that it is a bad
Keep the
address.
envelope and, okay.
Yep, sure.
For like a checking savings account that hasn't had any activity, but the customer initiates an ACH transaction like through PayPal because they want to set it up for electronic transfers. Normally, direct deposits like that don't constitute as customer contact because it's not technically customer initiated. Some states don't allow us to use that as the contact, but is it okay in the state of Utah or Idaho to use things like that? Or, for example, like liability payments, if they have an automatic, deduction coming from a checking and going into a liability?
I've actually polled states before on that, and I got an interesting response. The response I received is if somebody is working, that is activity, so if a direct deposit is tied to payroll, then they would consider that activity.
Question in the back?
Yes.
My question is regarding payroll. If you have a check that is not cash, when you do your reconciliation, you see it's outstanding, but 6 months later or whatever, it's time to report, we're reporting it. I know if we've reported it, then we just send them to you. But what if, because we have a lot of employees that are part-time high schoolers, if we reissue it, if we reissue a check, we charge a stop payment fee and a processing fee. If their check falls under $50, which my understanding is you don't report anything over $50 on a payroll check, maybe I'm wrong on that, but, or under $50, to reissue the check makes that check fall under the $50.
If it's under $50, it goes into aggregate. You still are required to file your aggregate properties with us. You can do it in a lump sum or you can do it separately. But our limit is 50, so anything under $50, you can combine together as one record. But you have to keep the detail on that. So that person's still entitled to that, and like if they went back to you, you could tell them, hey, we sent that to the state of Utah in aggregate, you're gonna have to contact them, and then we would process a claim for that. Does that make sense?
But my question is that as a company, since if you were to reissue it, you would charge this fee, when we report it, do we report it as the gross amount or the net amount of what it would be to
The
reissue?
net amount of the check, but we do not allow processing fees.
Right.
The only ones that get that are the financial institutions and credit unions, banks, that sort of thing.
So, kind of to go back on the official check question, so are we saying that if, like a payroll check comes back to us in February, but the check was actually cut in December, you know, a couple months prior, is the dormancy period starting on the date of the bad address notification or on the date that the check was cut?
The date the check was cut.
Okay, so we're not even thinking about the bad address, we're going basically off of the date the check was cut and then using that reporting period?
Right.
Okay.
One exception to that would be securities. In some states, you determine the last activity date to be the RPO date rather than a last activity, but that would be in state law, and it's different depending on the state.
Are there any more questions? Yeah.
So if the reporting period is July 1st through June 30th of the following year, and then let's say a check becomes 1 year, a payroll check is dormant for 1 year beginning October, should that be escheated in that November 1st date, or does it wait for the following?
Wait for the following.
So it has to be 1 year dormant within the reporting period time.
Correct.
Right. Is there another question? Sal?
Yes. So we get a lot of gift cards that are left behind. What do I do with those?
No, actually, what would happen with those, even if you destroyed those companies that issued those would be able to, are responsible to track them. So it's not like it's your obligation because you didn't issue them. It's more like a lost and found kind of thing.
Yeah, the companies don't keep track of the gift cards. I've had one company that did, has Lambs downtown, and they took a gift card from 1952 for a dinner for two. And I said, that's enough, I'll accept that. So, you know, gift cards got a good lobby.
Yeah.
Could we get some more definition on gift cards from the Income Property Department?
We're working on that.
Yeah.
When we have a better definition, we'll push it out
Okay.
on our website and via email.
That'd be really helpful.